Hello everyone! Welcome to Agriculture in the Classroom. Today we are visiting a vegetable farm in Robinsons on the west coast of Newfoundland. Here you will meet a husband and wife team who will show you how the vegetables are planted, harvested, and sold. You will also visit their flock of sheep and see how they are beneficial to the farm. Enjoy!
Hi, my name is Glenn Wells. Myself and my wife Elaine run a mixed vegetable and sheep farm in Robinsons. We got involved in sheep because we needed a means of utilizing forage that couldn't be harvested with machinery because of rocks, old building foundations, and sheep seemed to be the most profitable animal that we could raise on that land. Our sheep are on pasture from mid-May until mid to late November. Then they go in the barn and spend the winter in the barn. They're fed hay, grain, and a mineral mix until they go out again in the spring. So what you see the lambs doing now, that's a bale of barley straw. It was harvested when the grain was just getting ripe. And they're picking through the bale, picking out the ears of barley and eating that, leaving the straw behind. The straw will remain in the pen of bedding, keeps the pen clean, keeps them dry. They're smaller animals, they're easy to work with, they're not intimidating, they're not going to run you over like a 2,000-pound beak bull. And as I say, it's fairly low tech. You don't need a lot of machinery, you don't need very expensive buildings. As long as they're dry, they're warm, and they're well fed, they'll do quite well. Last year our sheep flock consisted of 10 animals, and those 10 animals delivered 18 lambs, so it was an average of 180% lambs per ewe. The ewes will give milk depending on the time of the year, the amount of pasture that they're having, and the number of lambs they have. Between 6 and 10 weeks they'll give the lambs milk. After that, lambs are feeding on their own. Each sheep has an ear tattoo. Inside the ear is a printed tattoo with a number on it. That number shows that when it was born, where it was born, and what sex it is. So we know from that how we can tell one animal from another. The easiest way for anyone to get involved in raising sheep would be to work with a sheep producer, supposing it was only for a week each season, winter, spring, summer, and fall, to get some hands-on experience at it. We have 2 seasonal full-time employees. They begin work towards the end of June, early July, and they stay with us until the crop has been sold, which is usually around mid-December. This is the bedding and manure that's been piled here since last March. That'll be spread on our vegetable fields that are coming out of production this year. It'll be plowed in, disc, and then those fields will be seeded out to forage that will grow more hay for the sheep in the following years. We do a rotation, 2 years in vegetables, 3 years in forage. All the manure, all the bedding that goes to the sheep gets spread back on the field, so it's a closed system. We use the hay to grow our lambs and keep our sheep healthy, and we use the manure to build up the fertility, which comes back to us 3 years later when we grow vegetables again. We use the greenhouses to grow our vegetable transplants in spring. This house holds 400 to 450 trays of greenhouse vegetables. These are greenhouse tomatoes that are grown inside. Most of the tomatoes that are there now will be harvested later, but there's only a matter of a couple of weeks and all this in here will be frozen. The other side of the greenhouse had a crop of green peppers in it. They've already been harvested, and we're using it now to finish ripening our pumpkins and to dry off some onions. These onions were grown in here as transplants, planted out in the field in June, harvested about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and we dried them down before we put them in storage, because if they go in with tops on them, they won't store as long. They need to be dried down.
start our planting season, it depends on the weather, but we'll start in our greenhouse in April or early April to early May. And we'll start planting in our fields, again depending on the weather, in end of May, June. We grow a wide variety of vegetables on our farm, everything from the usual potatoes, carrot, turnip, cabbage, beets. We grow pumpkins and squash and zucchini and green and yellow beans and cauliflower and broccoli. We know what grows best in our land by trial and error, so we plant certain things in certain different type soils, and by experimentation we see what grows best, and then we will judge from there what to grow where. So this is an example of some of our fertile soils we have on our farm. As you see, this is nice and loose. The carrots like this kind of soil because they have to grow down in the ground. The carrot, of course, is a root, so it has to go down and find the moisture and be able to grow. Our vegetables are grown 2 years on a field, then they're taken out and 3 years in hay. And that helps increase the fertility of the soil, and we add limestone usually every other year in order to help increase the fertility as well. So we have some crop gets left on the field, some either oversized or cracked or misshapen, and of course the tops. So that'll just go back into the soil again as compost. So we would normally sow out our carrot seed. It's one of the earliest things we try to get in the ground because it takes quite a while for it to grow. So we would normally sow in carrot seed toward the end of May, early June at the latest if possible. Carrots take a while to grow, but we, depending on the variety, we can harvest some carrots toward the end of July. And now we're at the end of October here, and these carrots are being harvested to put in storage, and we'll sell them as we go along. We're harvesting these carrots now, and you see they're all dirty, so we'll take those back home, we'll run them through our washing system and bag them up and put them in the cooler for storage. So now we're packing our carrots, potatoes, and turnip and cabbage into a variety bag, which consists of 5 pounds of potatoes, 3 pounds of carrots, and a medium turnip and a head of cabbage. So we'll be doing these up to be delivered to Coleman's. I would certainly recommend a career in vegetable farming. It's a fantastic way to live. You get to produce your food, you get to see how things grow, you get to be responsible for things growing, from the little seed or the seedling right to the finished product, right to the table. I think it's a good way of life, and I would recommend it.